Mark Williams as he becomes the first of the celebrated class of '92 to reach the half-century. Still a regular on snooker's biggest stages, still a contender for everything he plays in. And tonight, Joe, he faces another of the game's most prolific title winners.
To kick our coverage off, couldn't really want for much more than the two players we got on show. Numerous titles in the cabinet and two. Be more of a shock if that record wasn't broken, wouldn't it, I think?
Well, we've been waiting some time for them to have the opportunity, and I would actually...
Both players in this by right, as everyone is this week, but these two especially. So not a great deal of form from either player coming into this match this evening.
Ding has the better of the good memories to draw on, if nothing else.
Key elements to his game, which has kept him at the top for so long. Ding Junhui, I feel, has lost that bit of his game for the time being. He's long potting, not sharp. First chance is going to be key this evening. Both players, Ding especially, such a good scorer when he gets in amongst them. Well, that's the first mistake, but there's a friend.
Both gone the full distance, which underlines how closely matched they are.
Half chance here for Ding Junhui.
One. Five.
He's in the way there, so Ding, class break builder he is, he'll be looking to try and resolve that situation as quickly as possible.
11. Ding Junhui, 18.
Why do you think it is, Joe, that Ding has had...
Between events these days, I can't really comment on that. But if you look at him technically, he has a little flaw in his technique, which has crept in over the years. It's more noticeable than others, and I think it's in them times when he sort of struggles with his form. When the cue's being pushed through smoothly, he's still capable of producing noticeable. We might see it this evening.
Didn't make much from that first opening, but Williams has allowed him straight back in to resume business. By a lot of people, not unreasonably, to the fact that he was really flying the flag alone for China for so long, and as the game exploded there, all the expectation was landing on how. A number of Chinese players have won tournaments and made the top 16 in recent years. Grown dramatically.
11.
Table's playing just yet, how much of a slide he's getting off the cushions and whatnot, so we'll forgive him on this occasion.
Ding Junhui, 11.
In and out over a career which now stretches to well over 30 years.
Once again, having got so close to the pot, Red's run along the cushion and left an easy starter for Ding. So, third chance.
Foul.
Wow.
Ding Junhui.
He's just so good at finding a way to win a frame.
That was interesting there, wasn't
The Players' Championship grew out of the PTC Grand Finals, an event you
Not very inviting at all. Not much entrance to the pocket from this sort of angle. Oh, that's a wonderful shot. So that's a good pot from Ding, and he's in. Yeah, I think a lot of players in this event would have preferred the long straight red there. So is that an indication that Ding's not coming?
already? Could still be a long way to go in this frame from Ding's point of view. So Williams gets his first point on the board. A player could win the World Championship past the age of 40. Now, when he said that, it didn't seem like an outrageous thing to say. I think we all thought that. These are things 12. To reflect on. But where do you feel the limit is, Joe? To the guys who are reaching 50?
Well, speaking personally, and I'm not putting myself on the same level as the guys we're talking about, but they can just go on for as long as they want to, really. But it's when that desire to get your cue out and practice them long hours, once that disappears, it's very...
Mark Williams, 25.
Becomes a circle.
Another chance for Ding. Difficult opening red. Lovely. Yeah, that's well. Very reliable on that kind of shot. So I've actually lost count how many chances Ding's had in this frame, but this is a good one.
With the next two reds, still wouldn't be enough. He will need all of the remaining reds.
9.
There, so maybe leaving the red from distance, but it's close enough to the pocket to not give him a problem.
17.
Yeah, and there's always...
Junhui.
Straightforward. He's going to play a bit of an exhibition shot here. Didn't quite get enough bottom on the cue ball. He was looking to make that cue ball really arc around the green. If you strike down on the cue ball when you hit a cushion...
Junhui.
Yeah, he judged it better that time. It was a good hit, and he
does get a chance at the one remaining red. It will be frame ball.
Inviting positions. The pink, the only one that's slightly awkward, but Mark Williams being left-handed, that's not going to be a problem. .28 behind, so he's got to, if he does knock this red in, he's got to get himself out for a colour. No, so not to be. Oh, he's hit the black anyway, so that couldn't have gone much. Frame up.
1. Foul.
I think it's 31.
31.
Yeah.
Look where the green and brown are. It's pretty much a guaranteed snooker, this, for Mark Williams. Who knows what's going to happen here? Yeah, that was a good hit from Ding, but side cushion. Not a straightforward hit, so I've got to go up and down the table.
Foul. 4. Junhui. 3 ball.
So nominating the black as free ball pretty much puts this to bed.
2. 4. Junhui.
Mark Williams breaking 1-0 down.
The surroundings and the atmosphere. So I'd like to think that the standard will go up a few notches in this frame, but not judging by that first safety shot from Ding.
1.
I think Jill was right in what she was saying at the start of the programme. We are going to be talking who seemed to have fallen out of love with the game a couple of times, and at other times just didn't see achievement. And of course,
7.
we'll be talking about his age again as the oldest ever ranking event winner. If he wins the Tour Championship, he doesn't care, Joe, but he'd love to get that.
Yeah.
13.
Well, you're right on both accounts. He will. They can play it down as much as they want, but they know what they're achieving in the game and the legacy they.
20.
One's off before he attacks the main bunch. And again there, he's just pot into the right middle. And the one
26.
below the black, obviously, but... that side of the table.
34.
He might not play this one too hard. He can right middle. Well, you can see what I meant by that. The red went up towards that middle pocket, but he hit it pretty hard, and that's end of break.
Mark Williams, 41.
That's by some distance, beating Stephen Hendry in the final. And he's always been renowned as a wonderful middle pocket player.
It's been his whole career.
Junhui, 4.
It's not going to... if the red had gone in, look at the cue ball.
When you think back to 20 years ago when he won the China Open, Joe, for all he's achieved in the game, has he to some extent underachieved?
I think he's underachieved, but you know, he's been a fabulous player. He's, you know, his ranking title victories are up there with. But no, he's been fabulous, hasn't he? You know, all the pressures that come with being China's #1, and you know, he's also one of China's greatest sportsmen, not just snooker, sportsmen in general.
Often forgotten, he actually had a brief spell at #1 in the world rankings about a decade ago. He mentioned the World Championship, but within a few frames of it, he dropped out of the top 16 and had to qualify.
And then didn't really play it with much conviction. So Mark Williams, he...
ever played against each other. It was 5 years after that. Williams coming out on top that time. Leading, but struggling.
1.
So near. But other than that, in terms of the ranking events, it's not really been a good season for him.
Mark Williams, 3. 1.
Oh, that's a better one. That'll make him feel better. He's going to have a battle with himself this evening, I think, as much as he is Mark Williams.
Ding Junhui, 1.
Just that having to hit the ball hard. Thing he's got in his cue action, just struggles to hit the ball hard. And the timing goes.
1.
Other than that, though, it's been relatively early exits most of the way by his standards.
Was soundly beaten by Mark on that night. He was incredible.
Yeah, he'd beaten world champion Kyron
Mark
Wilson.
Williams,
He was a
6.
decider to reach that semi-final. If things aren't going Ding's way, signs of real frustration.
Yes, he does give that sort of emotion off, doesn't he, from time. He probably just plays wonderful snooker, hits the ball lovely. But when he gets out there...
1.
Still a chance that, despite being...
7.
World Open, and he got the better of me 5-2, but that Ding can play at, that little bit of confidence you get from playing on slightly more generous pockets.
13.
And he played pretty good that night. Again, he didn't pop many long. If this one goes in,
Ding Junhui, 19.
well, it's all ridiculously easy at times now on TV with the standard of players around, but this is just an indication that this game is tough. Wanting to play much better than this. And I'm pretty sure they will. Oh, there's a wonderful shot from Ding to release the red. That was a great shot.
1. Ding Junhui, 1.
Chances of that have signs there of that tendency to grow visibly frustrated that we were told.
7. Mark Williams. Okay, thank you, Mark. Thank you.
So Ding carrying on here as he's the ball nicely.
Williams certainly struck that one nicely. And that
Mark Williams,
perhaps
2.
not.
Yeah, I doubt Ding holds much hope of winning this frame. I think it's, like I say, more a case of just playing a few more shots and just trying to build some confidence from somewhere.
Yeah, perhaps by knocking in a long green. It hasn't
Frame
happened,
conceded,
and he's
frame
decided that's
Mark
enough, so it was a poor save.
Win it, maybe.
We live in hope. Of course, we talk about the class of 92. You were part of it as well.
Yes, like I always say, same.
Long, slow trundle of the
Foul.
cue ball.
4.
It's just not happening. He must come to the table, see that shot facing him, and
So far, only made one of them.
yeah, and I think that. Yeah, that's sort of one of them where the stats don't always tell the story. They do in a lot of cases, I think.
It's been a strange experience watching Williams at times this season because he changed his cue early on in the campaign.
Yeah, didn't we get to see it for the first time at the British Open? Is that right? Did he? He played pretty awful.
To Rory Thor. And soon after that, did win the Champion of Champions.
Wow, that was proverbial mile away, wasn't it? So it's going to be
Every ball he's missing is rattling in the jaws. He's had a few of those now where he's been well off target.
1.
Quite at his best so far tonight. It tends to suit him because if he's missing balls, he's well able to put it out of his mind. And when he can find a way to make the yellow go in the pocket like that, Joe.
So little shots like that are going to help Mark Williams. Oh, he's followed it up with another miss. So they're just
Mark
feeding
Williams,
off each other's
3.
mistakes at the moment, aren't they? And it's just...
One.
No, and a lot of
Ding
players
Junhui, 1.
out of frustration would have got down and played the green there, but no. But if you mention it, it might jog some memories.
Good match. And it even goes back through the last few events of last season. Go back to the Welsh
1.
Open over a year ago for the last time someone knocked Ding out and then went and won in the next.
So we can look into that a few ways. Maybe it sort of tells you that you don't have to be playing great snooker to beat Ding Junhui. I don't know. I don't know how else to sort of look at that stat, to be honest.
Mark Williams,
It is.
3.
Could just be pure because we do have a first-time defending champion this year, Karen Wilson.
Yes, indeed. And
If he beats Ding in the semis and then wins the final, he can end 2 curses in one go. The length of time players stay at the top nowadays gives rise to a couple of times he's actively considered packing it in.
spread, but still some quality shots on display. No, not interested. These two reds, are they a plant at the right corner? Well, they were. So That was well picked out, and it was
One.
much safer.
And Bingham won 3 in a row. And Ding also lost
Mark
his first
Williams,
match.
1. Foul and a miss for Mark Williams.
Get out for the black also.
1.
So it turned out to be a good decision in the end. Refused the reward he was looking for. So whether there's a lot of travelling to do here with the cue ball, if this break's going to continue.
9.
I just wonder if there's a gap.
13.
Like all the greats so far to keep this chance going.
21.
Position himself on the black into the left corner again. It's a good chance, but I think this cue ball's just travelled a bit too far. Black.
25.
Well, the fact that he just looked up to the... Well, what a great shot that
33.
was. With the rest of... And this time he did get the cannon, but not full enough.
Mark Williams. 1.
Well, you were talking at the end of the previous frame, Joe, about Ding needing something for him at the moment. Even though he's level at 1-all, he's not really got going at all. Williams has at least had a couple of 40 breaks.
Ding Junhui, 1.
It just all feels quite tentative from him at the moment.
1.
Ding is at snooker's required.
Mark Williams, 7. On the
You
frame.
won't see many breaks of 6 required for a place in the quarters.
Is this the start?
Yeah, that's the other way the long pot statistics can be.
It's gone back on its spot. The red's no longer available, but luckily that one was
9.
still thin enough to be able to knock in. A red available. Yeah, so how's your luck? He deserves to be on one here. That was well played.
15.
Yeah, that was
And in the 4th frame, this is the...
21.
love to confident when he has to hit the ball hard at the moment. So nice close control of that cube. It'd just be straightforward stuff, but everything just seems hard at the moment for Ding
27.
Junhui. This is better. Yeah, well played.
33.
Cue ball's top side of the blue, so all of a sudden now.
He wins this frame in one go. Considering the struggles he's had at times, he will regard that Quite a result. Final. Beat Williams with a session to spare along the way.
39.
Had a dozen breaks over 50. Change now, because we have tournaments like this and the Tour Championship, which are special standout events in their own right. Of course, everyone's...
Couldn't agree more. Obviously, everyone wants to win the world title, but
46.
like I say, these tournaments carry almost... Didn't play in that one to give himself more time to prepare for the world title. But you won't see that here. You won't see any of these players pulling out.
And guys our age, Joe, can remember a time when we
53.
had 3 events in the down to being single session, except for the final. So to now have 2 events again, where every match is multi-session.
What a break this has been under the circumstances from Ding Junhui. He looked completely
60.
out of sorts in this match. Stick long red. And this has been typical Ding Junhui. It's not been easy by any means.
This one is sitting pretty though, and it's frame ball. A lesser break builder. Might not have been, has always been built around.
74.
Even the biggest of Ding Junhui fans could have predicted this with what's gone before.
81.
Now he's starting to get a bit of feeling back. More confidence. And just as I say that, he does miss that one.
81 and frame.
And that's more than 4 times his previous break. Enables him to level at 2-all.
Yeah, them stats we saw there, 77% each. Never, I'd guess. Like in the beginning, the mistakes were rubbing off on each other, maybe. Ding Junhui's shown that he's up for the fight with the previous frame, and Mark Williams.
I remember he said during the Welsh Open, an event he's won that. Certainly, they were both struggling a bit for fluency early on. The struggle was more Ding's undoing. There was a lot of work involved in the 81 that Ding made in frame 4.
15.
Very sadly, we lost the 9th. Ray Reardon, 6 times world champion, had departed
23.
not long before that. So,
Yeah, they've had some great players over the years, haven't they? There's a new breed coming through with Jackson Page and Jack Jones. They're going to carry
31.
the Welsh flag for many years to come.
a really high standard on their day. This man at the forefront of it all.
Negotiate the cue ball in and out of baulk, so end of break. But it's not.
Mark
You don't
Williams,
have to win
36.
the frame in one visit. You know, you good safety shot. Be taking it on if it's potable. Yeah, and there it goes.
One.
Page, who's basically become like family, and he's taken a couple of the other young Welsh players under his wing.
Mark Williams.
If you could bottle what he has in his head, you could sell it for millions.
Well, this is a big misjudgment from Ding. He's nowhere near that. Yeah, you can see Ding,
Foul.
he's been around a long
LMS.
time. He knows
4.
roughly where tables are playing. Very reactive, judging by them previous two shots.
1.
And this time the cue ball did run on that.
As soon as the chance arrived,
Mark
it's
Williams.
gone.
It's a horrible, horrible thing for any snooker player. Miss black
One.
off the spot.
As much as it's a great moment when he won the international championship. Be there at the presentation, and said afterwards they hadn't actually witnessed him winning
7.
the title before.
13.
Yeah, so Ding.
On opponents who are still top players themselves and about 12 years older than you. So
20.
the fact that Williams is still going at this level at his age suddenly comes charging back.
The problem for Ding in winning the frame at this visit, he'd love to land straight on this
27.
pink. He's gone too far. Had he landed well, in trying to hold the cue ball,
20. One.
Somehow you get the feel.
can make position a little bit more awkward.
7.
Oh, I think Mark just come past the face of the red in the same pocket. Yeah, that's okay.
$14.
It's a job. We could look back on this as a significant frame.
21.
It was an unexpected miss from Williams when he was... Dean could have inflicted a significant psychological blow.
24.
If you can do such a thing to someone like Mark Williams. And once Williams got back in, he's done the rest.
Mark Williams,
That's
24.
why the three-time... Williams is guaranteeing the last place in the top four, but in terms of World Championship seeding, so that's another thing that Williams can overtake.
To steal the advantage here in this little safety encounter. Green and brown, big target. Well, he had the line, just didn't have the pace.
Foul and a miss for Junhui.
Well picked out.
1.
I was only going to get him 1 point, but here for Junhui.
Foul and a miss for 1.
Yeah, that was a good part, wasn't it? But
Junhui 1. Foul and a miss.
realised, so this is not as straightforward as first looked. This looks better.
Now, he's the only player who does this. Unless you can think of anyone
Foul
else, Joe.
and a miss.
It hasn't worked
for
from there.
Junhui.
Well, I can think of a few, but again, he's quite a way out here, so
Foul and a miss.
well, he won't be playing it
for
again.
Junhui. Foul and a miss for
You can see he'll be leaving the cue ball right in amongst all the breads. Perfectly played, great shot. Another very high moment. He's in a load of bother. It just goes to show you how good.
Altitude sickness common there, and it affected Williams. He ended up posting pictures of himself online, hooked up to an oxygen tent. It was a short term. Couple of world semi-finals, won the old world match play that we mentioned earlier.
One.
He does. It'll be the third time in a row. And grind out a result, but the way he's approached it tonight would suggest
14.
Those qualities are there.
Sometimes his body language, his demeanour around the table just gives the impression he's not, you know, not players. It's easier to see by looking at them.
21.
But yeah, Ding, you don't win what. Yeah, and it's caused him to miss, so that's really
21.
frustrating.
40 odd behind in the previous frame, wasn't able to do it. Similar opportunity falling to Williams here, but a lot of work to do. Yeah, I said it's been an eventful time from hit mark in the head. Complaining about jaw pain after that, but I think that's all cleared up too.
Nice positional shot there. So he's going to just pick them off, or he's going to play some kind of cannon.
13.
You can see the one black is available into the opposite corner, so just see how he goes about this. Well, he's gone straight at them, and that's worked out lovely.
Just decision to take the bull by the horns, so to speak.
20.
It's all a bit in and out before the interval.
Oh, like you said, he's got his friend and coach with him this week, Lee Walker. He's not looking himself, but you wouldn't really see that
26.
when you're in your chair. You don't take. They can notice these sort of things, so I don't know. Maybe he's been given a little bit of
Going of a relationship like that, and I guess it's the same with you, Joe. You're working with Neil Robertson these days, and you guys have been very close for a long time, and that's got to help.
I think it's a trust issue as well. You know that person in your corner's got your. You have to sort of trust in their judgment.
41.
So having been 47-0 behind in this frame, Williams a round of a frame and all of a sudden be a couple of frames behind. Neither player has had a lead of more than a single frame at any stage.
It won't be the first time we've seen Mark Williams clear from 50 behind to pinch a frame.
56.
I had John Higgins, but I know Mark Williams
57.
Yeah, that's what he's played. He needs to just be higher than the yellow, and he is. If you could pick that up and put it with his.
Mark Williams.
Bit of a wild one from Ding. Needs a bit of fortune. And this could have turned out a lot worse.
Well, it was nearly a very good shot, wasn't it? We're taking this one on. No, it was a good choice. It was nothing to do with confidence or anything. It was just the right shot at the right time from Ding Junhui there. Very good.
He'll be taking this one on all right, and what a chance.
That cue ball's away from that middle pocket. Oh,
2.
well, he didn't hit that one good at all. And Ding would pinch this frame. Well, I say pinch it.
5.
It was a frame he should have won earlier, but as it's
Needs them all, but really should get them all. And that
Junhui,
may just be
4.
going to happen now. So, Ding could have won
9.
both frames since the interval. In the end, he's
Mark Williams, 9. And the
it's just so immense. You certainly don't need to be told that. But from time to time, Ding maybe just has a little bit of a lapse, and the tiniest lapse in concentration can be all it takes sometimes.
Yep, anything to go for and play exemplary snooker. We just take it for granted sometimes just how hard this game is. And what we've witnessed so far this evening, these pockets are not playing overly generous, so it's not going in, which is really what you want to see at this level. These players don't need any help with friendly pockets. They're good enough.
One.
Lovely long red from Mark Williams. How's the cue ball? Bit of a shame that really.
In various spells. That was such a cornerstone of his game, the long potting. But where would you rank him all time, Joe, in terms of long potting when he's been on side?
Two that spring to mind in modern day snooker is Neil Robertson and Shaw Murphy, but you know, the likes of Judd Trump and that. But I think you have to put Williams on a par.
Down into a category of long potting when it really matters the most. I think it perhaps stand out even more. Look back at his big titles and the close finals he's had, and the very. And of course, wouldn't you know when we talk up someone's long game?
Well, we always go on about flukes in snooker, but what Mark Williams done there, that was.
That's more like the
Absolute mile. Left nothing. Things Junhui done about as good as he could, and Mark Williams pots the next ball.
Mark Williams, 1.
But didn't see that one.
maybe
Just red, so whether he was mentally ready to come back to the table straight away, because he wouldn't have been
1.
expecting Mark to miss that pink. So maybe did he come to the table? It's worrying times now. We're getting to the crunch part of this match, aren't we? Getting very near the winning line.
And maybe this is the difference.
Mark Williams is probably the very
5.
best at it.
You know, one Luke Littler was barely tall enough to even reach the dartboard at that stage.
13.
From Mark Williams. I mentioned it earlier on in this match. He never gets a mention when they talk about the best rest players in the game, but he's up there.
19.
Really are just good in every single department of the game.
And they've grown with the sport as well. You know, the standards getting bigger and bigger, higher and higher every year. It's so hard to judge. And in fact, he hasn't got a whole pocket to aim at. I'm not sure that one actually
Williams,
went.
24.
Well, we've seen this story before, haven't we? With the left-hand side of the table.
Yeah, previous frame was the longest of the match so far, almost 28.5 minutes.
Well, it wasn't easy, was it? But I think Ding.
think that miss may just have taken about half an hour out of all of our lives, Joe. Our studio, and people might say Stephen Hendry perhaps was the one who did have a department where he fell down, the tactical side of the game, but for me that's always been a bit overplayed, and winner was when he added the tactical game, and when it was required, of course he was able to do it.
Frames back then, just as they do now. I think it's just that all the players are very attacking these days. All the players like to take on long balls and try and win frames in one. Started to get through and come up against Stephen Hendry. Terrified of leaving a long red out because you knew it was ultimately going to cost you the frame more times than not. So the game's never really been that
tactically compared to the other greats of the game. A lot of that was because he didn't need to be. Because he played the attacking game so absurdly well.
Be the best safety player, but ultimately you've still got to pot the balls to win. Safety just gets you an opportunity. You've got to pot the balls to win the frame, Michael. The Reds are gradually being pushed towards that corner. And Mark Williams is one of the more patient players on tour. He's going to be in no hurry to change this situation, especially with a 26-point.
Well, looks like we could.
Foul for Mark.
As I said, could have won both of the frames since the interval. Hasn't won either of them. He's got to keep his patience here. Very big tournament. Chance to make it to a big quarter final.
Thank you. One
At the other end of the table. There is another red available. Two.
Nine.
And bring reds into play. There's your answer. Oh, good shot. He deserves to be on one, and he is. Nice shot.
All that work, all that effort to hang in there and hope that he would be the one to eventually get the chance.
Ding Junhui Lem.
He throws in a miss. Again, Mark Williams comes to the table with a nice ease. Mark Williams can just pick these off.
Nine.
To the table. I'll put him 43 ahead with the 3 reds remaining. An eye on the scoreboard here. He'd like to get enough points to not need one of the 2 difficult reds.
17.
.38 in front now, so red and blue would.
Thank you.
Ding should certainly not have lost all 3 frames since the interval, but it looks like he is going to end up losing them all. Still a bit of life in this frame yet. It's only 1 snooker there because it's just been a slog the rest of the evening for Ding, and we thought it might spark him into life a bit, but it turned out to be a false dawn. Everything has been coming hard for him.
Frame conceded. Frame Mark Williams.
And in the end, Ding Junhui has given up the ghost. Perhaps out to see Ding really digging in the way he needs to make the fight. But we could perhaps see him turn this around.
No, he's been trying hard, hasn't he? You can. He throws in a miss. Oh, there's a good opening red.
2.
2 for the price of 1. Yeah, and that's been the problem all night.
Junhui,
And
2.
pressure balls when he's lapped with a few missed pots early on.
1.
He just hasn't got it going at any time tonight. A nice 8, get a bit of rhythm. Magnitude in the Players' Championship, just 16 players.
5.
It's good.
Mark
Brought the black into play into both corners,
1.
but as we've mentioned,
And that's a moment, Joe, which rather sums up his evening.
all the timing goes.
1.
It's not nice to see because we know how good he is. We know what he's capable of.
And yet, anyone looking at that and saying, well, we can write him off for anything for the rest of the season, should this is to go against him, start turning it round.
6.
It's not guaranteed yet to be.
Championship, yeah.
He'll be able to put that behind him, have a chat with Lee Walker, who we spoke about earlier, and go come out a completely different player in the next round.
Again, didn't really threaten the pocket. The fact that it's just not happening tonight.
1. Mark Williams. 1.
You want them. Looking for one more frame. The reds are all there, all lined up. This is more like a practice drill. Just keep control of that cue ball. And this should really be
9.
a procession to the winning line.
Seen that in all 3 of his world titles. Have all been very close, though. Deliver the big finish. Some players
17.
shrink from the winning line to some extent. But he is great. Just play better as it goes on. We've seen that narrative play out with him so many times. A bit similar to Mark Selby in that respect. And after just over 2 3/4 hours playing time, Mark Williams.
Before the Tour Championship and then Sheffield. He's good enough. You've seen it before.
31.
This is a night he'll want to forget.
Briefly raised hope with that break of 81 that he had in the 4th frame, but
Mark Williams, 38.
we may well see him again in a couple of weeks' time in Manchester for the Tour Championship, but we will see Mark Williams.